Hello, everybody, and this is going to be my October prediction of the 2022 Senate races that are coming up next year. So let's just get right into it. First things first, let's just set up all the safe states. By safe, I mean like by over a 10% margin. Like they will not be competitive whatsoever. It'll probably be a waste of time for candidates to have funding in these states. Iowa is a shift from my last prediction. I had it as likely before. It's gonna be solid. I think Chuck Grassley. You could go in history and look at his 20-point margins he's got in this state. I mean, a lot of people say they didn't want him to run again, but his incumbent advantage is just so strong that even though he's just so old, I still think Iowa voters will vote for him by probably a margin of 15 to 10 points. That's where I really expect it to go to, honestly. He'll probably lose a little bit of his victory margins because people are just sick and tired of him, but it's going to be a safe Republican state in my mind for the Senate races here. Next state. Let's do Colorado. That's an easy one. It's probably going to be about a 9-point margin of victory here. Could even be safe, but I'm just going to say it's about around 9 to 8 points. I mean, the Senate race in 2020 was 8 points, I'm pretty sure, 8 or 9, around there. Uh, Republican senators are just Republican people who run in general for Senate race in Colorado. That do a lot better than the presidential races because Biden won the state by over 10 points against Trump, but the Senate candidate for the Democrats did a little bit worse than Biden. So honestly, I expect to be about 8 to 9 point margin in that state. The next state. Florida, it's Marco Rubio. He's an extremely strong incumbent. I expect him to win by around 5 to 6 points because that's usually his margins in the state of Florida. I really don't see how Val Demings wins this race. I mean, it's good to run her to build infrastructure to win the state against Rick Scott when his term's up. He's definitely vulnerable. But Marco Rubio, I really can't see him losing because he has a lot of Latino support all across the state, so that would really make it hard to oust him because you're going to need that Latina vote to go sky high for the Democrats to win the state over Rubio, honestly. Next state, Ohio. I could see going to the likely range, and honestly, that's probably where I'm going to be putting it. Before, I had it in like lean or likely, but as of right now, based on the candidates running here, I don't see the Democrats nominee Tim Ryan beating any Republican, honestly. He's just running just because his House district in Ohio is already going to be ripped apart by Ohio gerrymandering. His district is virtually gone. If he were to run for re-election in that House district, he would easily lose just because his district is so cut up by people leaving the state of Ohio that it's just going to be filled with rural areas, honestly, and that's just not competitive enough for him to win it. And that's why he's running for statewide. I mean, he's probably not going to win. It's probably a waste of time to do fundraising there, but he's just running for the hell of it, honestly. uh, Next state, Nevada. I see it going by about a lean margin. I see a lot of Republicans on YouTube just say, this is going to be a flip for the Republicans. What are they talking about? I don't see that at all happening, considering that Arizona, which is more Republican than Nevada, that state's polling shows Mark Kelly, a very strong incumbent, easily beating his Republican opposition in every poll I've seen. And in Nevada, too, the Democrats like a 4-point lead in the most recent poll here. So I don't know why they're giving it to the Republicans. I really see Democratic Senate people just winning these two states, honestly. I don't think they could flip these back for the Republicans. I feel that it's sort of a waste of time for Republicans to try to get these states. And I could see why in Arizona, but that's a very tough incumbent to beat. And Nevada, I don't think the Republicans have the issues they need. They're not supporting the right issues to win these states. They have shifted much to the left, Arizona especially. Nevada has roughly stayed the same. So Republicans are always going to lose the Nevada races by around 2 to 3 points. It's just the average. So just this is how it currently looks like. Next race is North Carolina. I see that going to the Republicans by about a lean margin. It could easily go to tilt and even flip for the Democrats, but they have to get momentum back in their favor because Biden's approval ratings are in the negatives. But then again, even if the president's approval rating is in the negatives for Senate contests, they could still make gains. It's a state-by-state contest, basically. It just depends on what candidates you run and the candidate quality. And the Democrats have A-tier candidates in this state. They could flip it, but they have to get some momentum back in their sales. Maybe if they pass the infrastructure deal or the reconciliation bill, they could get that momentum back in their favor. That could easily swing for the Democrats this state. A lot of movement in North Carolina has happened in the urban areas and suburban areas. They gained a lot of people. They even increased an electoral vote. So Democrats could win this state. They can, but I'm going to give it to the Republicans for now, just based on how things are going. Next state, Georgia. I'm going to explain what I'm putting as lean. I do not think this state will be competitive at all for Republicans just based on how shitty of a candidate Herschel Walker is. He has so much controversial things about him. He's not going to be competitive in this state. They're going to easily reject him by a landslide. Senator Warnock will probably win this state by 2.5 to 3% points, I estimate, because just type in Herschel Walker in Google and look up what happened with his ex-wife. I mean, both of his ex-wives, really. He aimed a gun at his ex-wife's head because he has multiple personality disorder, and he admitted it in his own word. That's not going to sail with voters in Georgia. If they hear someone's mentally insane, why would they want that person representing them in Congress? And especially if it was his own words he said he did aim the gun. I don't see him winning this race. And another thing is, one of his other ex-wives said he was abusive too. I mean, that's also going to hurt him with women voters, especially in this state, in the suburbs. Really awful candidate. They have so much better options here, the Republicans, but they're just choosing to do whatever Trump says, and they're going to lose this state by a lot in 2022. They're not going to flip it at all, not with a candidate who aimed a gun at his wife's head. That's insanity. Literally. What a shit candidate the Republicans have in Herschel Walker. What a shit candidate. Wisconsin. It's a Rust Belt area. It's kind of a bellwether, but since it is a bellwether and Republicans are gaining momentum nationwide, I see it narrowly going to the Republicans' tilt Republican. That's by the margin. Less than 1%. The state is going to be one to watch in 2022. And I'm assuming Ron Johnson does decide to run for re-election, which will help Republicans a lot here. If he does not run for re-election, say he changes his mind, then easily the Democrats could win this state. But for right now, I'm assuming he'll be running if the momentum stays currently how it is in the nationwide environment. All right, the next two states I think I'm going to do New Hampshire first. I see Chris Sununu. If the momentum, the current environment stays as is, he may or may not run for the Senate seat here. It's a 50-50 chance. If he does run, tilt R, because he's a very popular governor in this state. You just look at his margins on how much he won by. But if he doesn't run, it's going to be likely Democratic state. Just based on the polling, you just look at how much polling has been done. It gives us a lot of information. It says, so if Chris Sununu runs, he could easily win this state. But I'm assuming, as of right now, he is. So currently Republicans are at 50 seats. They need one more seat for Senate control, but let's move on to Pennsylvania. The Republicans are running Shane Parnell. I mean, they really don't have a lot of candidates here, not a lot of good quality ones. I mean, that's the best they could come up with that's really going to hurt them in this state. I mean, if they run someone who's a little bit, at least somewhat known here, they could easily make it tilt R, but They're choosing not to, which will hurt them because there's just not a lot of options out there. While the Democrats have John Fetterman and Connor Lamb. Now, if Connor Lamb's the nominee, I could see him losing to Sheen Parnell narrowly as of right now. However, if John Fetterman keeps his lead in the primary, in the Democratic primary for this state, I see him winning it narrowly against Sheen Parnell, the current Republican nominee, and he's a very strong candidate, John Fetterman. I could see him winning the state and doing a lot better in the rural areas than other Democrats have, and he just has that reach among independent voters that I think will be very crucial in this state in the midterms. So that's my 2022 Senate prediction. I think the Democrats will narrowly hold the Senate as of right now. And let me know what you think of this prediction in the comments below, and like the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.